If you are joining me for the first time, please remember to click subscription button and hit that notification bell to be the first person to receive the video that will be produced by Davi-tech-media. Davi-tech-media, updating you. Davi-tech-media, subscribe to Davi-tech-media.
Various acclaimed Zambian entertainers and multitudes of mourners gathered at the Lusaka Playhouse to pay their last tribute to the late artist. This is how various entertainers described the late music legend.
Dave was, it's your boy Daev. He is, that was one of the most talented artists that have walked on this surface. It's so unfortunate we lost the talent at such a young age. I mean, his voice was unique. Every time you heard a Dave song, it was so refreshing.
He was always chilled, composed, but he could let loose also around, friends and family.
Wow, I think, well, Dave did so much, professionally that is, with music. He accomplished so much in so little time. Very few people could actually look back and say they've done what he was able to accomplish in such a short period of time. And personally, he was such a humbling soul, you know what I mean? He was so warm. Like his music, what his music sounded like, that was actually him. Because most times us artists usually portray certain personas in our music, and then when it comes to real life we're something else. But like for Dave, like the warmth his music would make you feel, that was him, you know what I mean? And the tiny little interactions I had with him, we never even got to meet personally.
I would say someone I mentored before he became the Dave that everyone knows. He used to come to my house a lot, would sit down, talk about music. He would ask me questions about how to get bookings, how to get signed to a label and all that. So I'll forever remember Dave personally because, he brought something new to the industry. His taste of music was very different, how he sang, what he talked about. A very young guy to have died at his age.
Well, Dave is someone I considered as my young brother and also someone who contributed a lot to the Zambian music industry. He's someone I would easily call, any time of the day to work, and he was very much willing to put in much effort in everything that he does. This is a guy who was down to earth, and he was a people's person, and each time you get to work with him in the studio, he used to put in the best that he can ever do, and his work was always outstanding. So really, we shall always live to remember Dave for the good guy that he was, friendly, people's person, someone who was dedicated to his work. I'm sure you've seen how much people have mourned him.
Well, what I can say about Dave, he was a talented youngster. He contributed a lot to Zambian music industry. And he has left that impact. Because we didn't expect this.
Very cool guy, very humble guy. I won't say we're best of friends. He was someone who I would know as a co-worker. He would come to the studio. I remember the first time I met him, Slap D brought him to the studio and said, "Hey, look, there's a new guy. I want him to sing." So because of his humility, I was thinking, can this guy really sing? But then, he sang, and I was like, wow, this guy is amazing. And then next time, Chef brought him over and said, "Oh, I've got this guy I want." So I was like, okay, there must be something about this guy if two big artists bring him to feature on their projects.
Dav is a young man who just came on the scene, of course under the auspices of XYZ, and took over. He was a talent untapped. He was a complete talent that was going to take us to other heights in terms of music. The gap left behind is extremely wide, especially when you look at the years, because I'm not saying it's okay to die at 50 or 70, but we're looking at a young man who was only 21 and with a lot of talent, massive talent in him. So it's a big loss to the industry and a big blow. he's somebody we are going to extremely miss in the industry.
Daev was a marvelous young man, absolutely polite, very, very humble in his demeanor. You know, everything that Daev did, his talent spoke for him. You know, he wasn't the guy that was boss to us or in any particular way forced his talents on anybody. His talents just spoke for himself and opened up doors. And you know, in many ways, you know, the loss of Daev is going to be a huge loss in the industry for a long time to come. You know, a lot of us had a lot of hope. Daev was, you know, one of the emerging stars, not only in the country but on the continent as well. And in many different ways, Daev was making contributions that was putting Zambia on the continental map. So, you know, this is tragic and it's a huge loss to the industry.
What does his legacy entail for budding and established entertainers?
Well, I think, you know, budding artists need to take you know, a leap from the fact that Daev was a hard worker. You know, he spent a lot of time creating, doing what he does best and focused on that. And this is the reason why even in the short amount of time that he's, you know, been in the music industry, he's left a huge legacy. So if the young artists out there just focus on what you have to do, the talent that God has given you, and that in itself will open up doors.
Never let your talent, never let your ambitions kill your talent. Yeah, never let your ambitions kill your talent. Yeah, one thing at a time.
Yeah, put in your best work, you know. Always do your best. Sing every song like it's your last song. Because look at the beautiful music Daev has left for us. You know, he was only 25. He didn't wait to say, I'll sing a certain kind of song when I'm 30 or I'll sing. He did everything when he could. So to every artist aspiring or established is, let's use our voice for positive things, because I don't think there's one bad song from Daev that will say, the message in this song was a bit off. All his music was positive music. It was music for people that love us and whatnot, but it was positive music.
Thank you very much for tuning in at Davi-tech-media. Remember, Davi-tech-media is the media that shares news, trending videos, political news, gospel music, as well as entertainment. Please don't forget to click that subscription button and that notification bell to be the very first person to receive the video that will be produced and posted by Davi-tech-media. Davi-tech-media, updating you.